Okay, so we have a list of questions here, right? And we're gonna all have the conversation around the theme of the conference. And what we hope here is just to bring a younger perspective on how that generation is going through things that are happening in the world and how do they apply Jesus and everything that means in their own lives. And I gotta tell you that working with them on this panel for the past few months was very enlightening and refreshing because it's always good to bring a different perspective, right? Sometimes we're all set in our own ways for many things. But then sometimes you hear things that really open your mind, like, wow, I haven't thought of that. So I just hope that you guys, can take as much as I did while you're working with them, for this exercise. So what I want to start with is we're talking about regeneration right now, right? That's like the buzzword of the moment, right? Oh, Earth is moving from, expiations and trials, we're going to regeneration, right? That's a good thing. So the first question that I want to start today, and that's for you, Gabriel, just because you're right here. If we're moving towards regeneration, why do we still see so much violence and injustice?
So, injustice. That's a word that is used quite frequently in Spiritism, but nothing truly is unjust because God knows what he's doing. So a lot of the times, let's take natural disasters for an example. Tsunamis, tornadoes, hurricanes. Here in Florida, we have a lot of them. And things get destroyed. Houses, populations decrease, or nature even gets destroyed because of these natural disasters. But is it really unjust? It's a hard question to think about because why would God put something that would destroy everything in its path? But then we also have to think about why it's happening because we know everything happens for a reason. So why are these things happening? So let's say this town gets destroyed. It gets flooded by a tsunami. Everything gets destroyed. However, that town wasn't really united. It wasn't a town where people loved each other. It wasn't a town where people used to hold hands and be there for each other. So something happened. Tornado came, destroyed everything. Destroyed houses, everything's gone, everything's flooded. So what now? People have to work together in order to rebuild these things. So now they're pretty much being forced to unite. They're being forced to come together. They're being forced to love each other. They're being forced to understand in order to rebuild everything. So that's one little part of just injustice, right, that usually people talk about. But how about reincarnation? How about people who are born in households that have no money, or people who are born in households that have all the money in the world? Or why am I not happy and this person is the happiest person on earth? Why is this person this? Why am I not this? It's a frequently asked question. So now we have to talk about the boomerang effect. Whatever I throw comes right back at me. Whatever I plant, that's the thing that's going to grow. So let's say in my past incarnation, Leo, can I use it for an example?
Maybe.
Yes, okay, so let's say in the past incarnation, just an example, I cut off his leg. He couldn't walk anymore. Both of his legs.
I can still walk, it's just harder.
Okay. So let's say that happened. Or I was like one of those executioners, I don't know, I used to gouge people's eyes out. It's just an example, I have no clue. But maybe in this incarnation, I'm going to be born with no eyesight. I'm going to be born with maybe no legs because I have to expiate for the things that we're doing. So we ask for these trials, for these expiations here on earth. We ask for them. The decision is to whether you're going to pass through them with faith or no faith. Because I can come here and I can have the difficult tasks. And I can think, this sucks. This is really bad. I don't like this. Everything in my life sucks right now. Or I can go through these things with resilience, with faith, knowing that I'm supposed to go through these things. And this is where the justice part comes in. I'm expiating, world of trials and expiations, I'm expiating for the things that I have to go through because of the things that I did wrong in the past. So it's like another chance. Life is another chance for us to get better.
Yeah, I love a few things that you said. And the first one is that destruction is not absolute, right? It's just a natural step on things, right? Because everything has to be reborn just like we reincarnate, right? Old habits are destroyed so the new habits can come in. And the other thing is the boomerang effect, right? Which is nothing more than, the law of return, right? Everything you throw, you get back, right? So think of your attitudes today, and then you're, of course, going to have a better outcome, right? I love that, Gabe. Thank you.
And if I may add to that, I think it's also like a shift in our perspective. What we perceive as destruction doesn't necessarily mean it. Like in Spiritism, we learn that death is not a bad thing at all, that our real life is not here, it's there. So I think when we talk about destruction, mainly it's like, oh, a lot of people died, a bunch of bad things happened, but death, is that really that bad? Right? As we know, we're immortal, like our life continues and we're going to reincarnate. So the need for the change is in our perspective, understanding death as something that's so much bigger than just like one moment, and life is so much bigger than just one incarnation. I think that's
Great.
And if you don't mind, I would love to add a quote from Mozart, because I have to talk about Mozart for a second.
Of course it does.
Mozart once said something along these lines. He said, "I am grateful because God has granted me the gift of knowledge to know that death is a key to unlock the door to true happiness."
Thank you. So that's a good segue for the next topic, because we're talking about about trust here, right? Because we see all the evil that happens in the world, and sometimes we look hopeless, right? Like what's really going on? And it's really good that we have that perspective. Sometimes we have our moments of doubt, right? Because we're still growing our faith, right? Still strengthening that faith, right? So we don't believe 100%. I would say that. So the next question that I like to ask you, Leo, is it normal to doubt God, Jesus, and spirituality at all?
Yes, to me, it's very normal to doubt all these things. And for me personally, until these things were a reality in my own life, I had like a kind of a superficial relationship. So I would always go to center, I would participate in studies at home and stuff, but those, spirituality, God, Jesus, like that wasn't what I was really interested in, right? I couldn't wait for center to be over, because I was like more interested in what I was gonna eat after center than like actually going to church.
We got you lunch today, so that's okay.
Oh, I can't wait. That's all I'm thinking about right now. And yeah, and then I would also see spirituality as separate from my own life. Like, oh, there's the 1 hour I spend at church, and then there's my entire rest of my life, which is my friends, video games, sports, like anything else. And so I was living in doubt, right? Because I obviously did not believe that spirituality and God was important, because I thought I just needed to do it because it was like a family obligation. Like that's what it felt like more to me than anything else. But through my own like trials and expiations and struggles, I've come to understand that like belief in God is what will guide you through your whole life. You know what I mean? It's what will bring you peace during hard times. It's what will make you feel at ease and not like you have no idea what to do. When you develop your spiritual sense and your faith, you start to trust your heart. You start to trust life. You start to trust that God's going to take care of you. I used to feel like I had no idea if I was taken care of. You know what I mean? And now I know that I am taken care of. We're all taken care of. We just have to reach out to God, because we feel hopeless, but He's always there.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Yes. So we talk a lot about Jesus Christ, and that's the reason we're here today, right? Talk about the age of Christ. And we know He's the model, He's the way, right? So all these good things, right? But He was here 2,000 years ago, right? 2,000 and change, right? But then if Jesus was to see the world today, right, what would be His assessment of what's going on, right? So I have a question for you, Julia. If Jesus were incarnated today in our times, what do you think that he would do differently from what we see in religions?
I think from my perspective, the first thing he would do is not do the religion thing. He would just not, he didn't come to set a religion, right? He came to show the way of living. And that's so different than what we see nowadays. Like, we are constantly looking for alternatives to tell each other that the other person's wrong. And to be like, no, your perspective's not right. The way that you see the world's not right. And Jesus didn't come for that, right? Like chapter 1 of the gospel, it talks about what Jesus came to do, and he didn't come to destroy the law. That's the topic, like the main part of the chapter.
Não se tem como negar.
Não fui eu, gente.
He didn't come to destroy the law. He came to fulfill it, right? And then we see Spiritism coming later on to explain it. So I think the main thing that he would focus on is to, regardless of color, religion, sexual orientation, any of our choices, he would again show us how to love. Because 2,000 and change years later, we still haven't learned that. We're still making so many decisions based on evil twins. Gabe and Leo taught me that evil twins, pride and selfishness, are still leading a lot of our decisions. And we need to be aware of that. That if he would come today, he would again do the same thing, because we haven't learned even 1/3 of what he tried to come here and teach us. So for sure, religion would be something out of question, and he would act with love, charity, kindness, because that's who he was.
Yeah.
Can I just say something really quick? I just want to explain that the evil twins is pride and selfishness. I think Yuri taught us. He taught his disciples, me and Gabe, very well about the evil twins. So if you hear us talk about the evil twins, that's just what it is.
Yes, and disclaimer, I learned that yesterday as well. So. Yeah, I love that you said that, Julia, because Jesus did never propose that we fit in one box and only, and we live in silos, right? We have to live together in a big box, right? Where we all share the fraternity, the teachings, and everything, right? So I love that. Thank you for the insight. And still talking about Jesus and all the good things and the state of the world, right? We still have fear of the future, fear of what's gonna happen tomorrow. Like some of us still have doubts on, okay, if I die, where I'm gonna go, that kind of thing. So fear is just a common emotion, right, that we all go through. So I have a question for you on that, Gabriel. Okay.
Silence your cat, please.
Does the fear we feel today have any sort of a spiritual influence?
So before I get to the actual answer of the question, like Leo said, it's natural to fear. It's natural to feel the fear sometimes. It's like a tongue twister. It's natural to feel this sort of way because we don't really know what's going to go on in the future. I can't tell my future, right? Maybe I can see, okay, I'm doing this, and then something's gonna happen in the future. But it's natural, mostly for the teens over there, and sometimes it's rough knowing that you're going to go to college, or, which high school you're in, or where life is going to take you. So it is natural. It's natural to have this thing, like this thoughts of maybe I'm supposed to do this, or maybe this is going to happen in the future. Completely natural. However, it is not natural to live in the fear. It's not natural to every single day. I'm always, oh no, I'm scared of the future. I'm scared this is going to happen. What if tomorrow happens? What if, no. Why? Because when we think, we're like emitting. It's like our thoughts are like vibrations. It's kind of like sound waves. They travel through the cosmic universal fluid, which is what it's called, and it affects everything around us. So let's say I'm in one point of the universe and I think something bad.
Don't say it.
And I think something bad to Leo, and he's in the other point of the universe. As soon as I think it, bam, it reached him. Same thing with good things. I'm doing prayers to Leo. It's going to reach him. So where am I getting with this? Your thoughts have lots of power. You can affect people around you. You can affect people spiritually. It can affect spirits around you, because it doesn't just affect incarnated, meaning here, this life in the flesh, but also the spirits that are discarnated. So, and then it's like the vibration. It can lower vibrations. It can raise vibrations. And who does it affect the most? Other people or yourself? If you're thinking, it's going to affect yourself the most. You're the one thinking it, not someone else. And that leads to gateways, to open doors, to maybe obsessions from, the less good spirits. It can lead to influences. Because on question 459 of the Spirits book, Kardec asks, how much do spirits influence our daily lives? Spirits reply with, so much more than you would imagine, for it is often they who direct you. So does that only mean the bad spirits? Absolutely not. It can mean the good spirits too. We have our mentors. We have our guardian angels who are always watching over us. They are always guiding us. We just don't realize it. It's like I'm going through traffic. Out of nowhere, I decide, you know what? I'm going to take this path today. That could have been an inspiration. So the vibration that you're in can determine what type of inspiration you're getting from that.
Thank you, Gabe. And I should say Gabe GPT, right? Because quote a question just for her, that's pretty impressive. So a couple of things that I love what you said is that first, my takeaway was that fear is nothing more than a warning, right? It's just to tell you that something is amiss, right? And that's really how we want to use it, right? Because when you say not to live in fear, like how many of us have chosen to live in fear, and how our lives bent, right? Just because of I don't know what's going to happen, and then that's the only thing I'm focused on. So I think it's a very nice change in perspective to look at fear just like a warning, nothing but that. But then I keep moving on in my life. And the other thing is just to remind us how thought it's powerful, right? Sometimes we think and we don't think. We think and we don't think that's going to have an effect on anyone, but it does, right? We know it creates good and bad. So good reminder that we have to think about really what we're going to send to other people.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I love how Gabe brought that, because we see all of this was told to us, right? In 1856 in the Spirits book, we started to introduce all of these topics of vibration and how the things we send out, we get back. And nowadays, the thing that you see most online, even physicists became quantum physicists, right? The things that we're focusing on the most in our science right now is the power of these vibrations, and how, as in a scientific view of it, we're considering things so much bigger than just ourselves. And I think that's so good, because we see that as we progress, Spiritism's following the progression of the world. And it's so beautiful to see how fear and anxiety and a lot of those negative things, we know the impact of them, so it's easier to control them that way. So,
and I love that too, because sometimes people don't get through that same state of mind through religion, but now they can get through science, right? And at some point, they're all going to collide together, right? And that's the proposal of the Spiritism, yeah. That's really great. So we're here to talk about Jesus, right? That's our main focus here. And we talked about a few things right now, the law of return, thoughts, fear, and all of those sentiments, right? And Jesus knew all that, right? So he came here, he's the governor of the planet, so he really knew what he was doing, right? For lack of better explanation. But there are still people that think that he could have been too passive, right? Too meek, right? Not spoke louder as we humans in this level would expect. So that brings me to my next question for you, Leo, is how can we follow Jesus without becoming naive or passive, if you think about that vision of Jesus?
Mm-hmm. So the question is, how do we follow Jesus without becoming naive and passive? And my answer to this question has always been that if you study Jesus, he was not naive or passive at all. He he was gentle and he was humble, and he was not like physically dominating or anything like that, but he was not naive or passive. My answer yesterday was that he knew everything that was going on in his time, right? So he was not naive at all. He understood what was going on. He knew about the evil of the world, and in fact, he said he came to overcome the world, right, and all its evil. So he knew about the darkest of the dark on this planet, and yet he chose love, right, and that's why Jesus is so powerful. And he definitely wasn't passive. He believed what he believed, and he never wavered on what he believed. He never said, "Oh, like this," and you know what? Actually, no. Maybe I'll take that back. Like, no, he never took anything back. But he would only speak when he had a true purpose. His purpose was not to be the loudest one in the room. It was not to win an argument. He simply wanted to speak the truth to help us. And so our job as followers of Christ is to emulate Christ, is to be like him. So in order to be like him, we have to love one another, and we have to believe in loving one another. And if we do that, then we will always, be strong in what we believe, but we'll be gentle with others, we'll be kind to others, but we'll be firm in the way that Jesus was firm as well. And while recognizing that there is evil in the world, and that there are, imperfect spirits. And I really do like that we say imperfect spirits and not evil, because a lot of people really don't know any better. Like, they are doing the best that they can, but the best that they can is, might not be great. So understanding that exists in the world, but understanding that our job as Christians and as Spiritists is to love one another, and to forgive, and to lend a helping hand, and to be the example that we want to see.
Yeah. I love that you said that Jesus did not have a strong physical presence, right? He was not the loudest person in the room. And for spirits on our level, right, that's how we see powerful people, right? Is the one that, that yells the most, is the one that is more, let's say. But Jesus just had that presence, right, because of the confidence of knowing all the things, right? So everything that was behind in your life. So if you would go to Jesus and ask for help, he knew exactly what was going on with you, right? So he was the better person equipped to help you out. So I love that you said that that's not just because he doesn't have the physical presence, right?
I'm sure there were a bunch of bodybuilders from his time, but we don't remember them. So
Exactly.
Talk about him.
Yes. So
Nothing wrong with bodybuilding, by the way.
that's right. No hate here. Yes. So no question that Jesus was, I guess, is the most consequential person in the existence of earth, right? Everywhere we go, people know Jesus, heard of Jesus, right? So he's a very well-known person, I would say, right? In today's world, right, with everything is in our screens and everything viralizes, right? Everything goes viral and all that, right? We had an interesting conversation yesterday about how that applied if Jesus was here today, right? What Jesus had an Instagram account today? How many followers would he have? How many likes would he have, right? So it was a very interesting conversation. So question for you, Julia. What would Jesus live as a spiritual influencer today, or would he stay away from social media?
Oh, well, influencers and influencers, right? Like, I think internet and social media is such a big part of our lives. And I would say, like, I don't know, but maybe 80% of us here heard from the event from, like, social media, or maybe looked up at social media somehow for some of the speakers to see what they're about and come to the event a little bit more prepared, knowing who everybody is. So it's a really good tool, right? We can all agree that that's why we're here learning about this doctrine that loves us and that we love so much as well. So I think absolutely Jesus would be using this such valuable tool that we have. The internet can be really bad, and we've seen so many consequences in our society over the years, but it's such a powerful tool that if the right people had their hands in it, we would have so much benefit from it. And I say that because he never said like something is wrong. He used the tools from the time that he was here. He adapted his language to the people that were there at the time, using parables, using different ways of speaking the truth so people would understand. So I'm sure if he was here today, he would do the same thing. He would use our language. He would use the youth language. He would use and influence with the tools that we have, the things that have reach for us. So I think he would definitely do that. And, he would be the most, like the top influencer. We already know.
Definitely have a TikTok account.
Me?
He would definitely have a TikTok
Oh,
account.
for sure. Oh, for sure. I mean, he definitely would. And it's what we know on the Spirits book on question, ChatGPT gave
Gabe
625. 625, where the Kardec asks for the spirits, who is the most perfect example and like guide and model for us, and the spirits answer Jesus himself. So if he is not the top influencer of this entire planet, I don't know who it is.
Yeah, I love what you said, because Jesus' message and teachings, they're really timeless, right? So they apply to any era that this world lived or will live. And I totally agree with you. I think Jesus would take opportunity of any tool that's available to reach more hearts, right? More hearts and minds. And if social media, that's what it is, so be it, right? But I also like that you said that just like anything comes from matter, right? It can be used for good or bad, right? It really depends on your intention.
Right.
And another thing that I love that you said is Jesus really tailored his message to the time that he was, right? So I'm sure that if he would be living nowadays, it would be the same message with a different delivery, right? And that's what we try to do in the Spiritist movement, and why we have all this work with the youth and the kids, because they're different spirits, right? They're better spirits than my generation, right? And they come with different needs and with different skills. So it's for us as a movement, it's an obligation for us to adapt that as well, to make them feel included in just like in exercises like this, right?
Yeah.
So we can all walk the walk together.
And I think, like, with what you said, it's a reflection for us ourselves. Do we just say social media is bad and stay out of it? Or we are all here today receiving the opportunity to hear about God and to hear about Jesus and to hear about the doctrine. Why don't we use social media as an opportunity for us to share that? Like, we use it for such bad things. Why can't we use it for the good things? Why can we be Jesus' disciples in the influencer world? Like, you don't have to know how to edit a video, but maybe a post that you can share or something that you can, like repost on your social media. That helps so much. So many people will read that. It can change somebody's life. So why can't we be Jesus' disciples, influencers in social media as well?
One of y'all mentioned yesterday that like probably a lot of the people here saw the advertising and saw the post for this event online. So, that's a prime example.
Yeah, exactly. So talking about social media and the good and the bad that they can do, right? And it's all clear that it's a tool that we have to use for the good, right? But just like other things in life, right? Just being that exposed to the world today, and I think that's really a challenge for the younger generation, because when I was a teenager, there was no Instagram, right? There was barely internet, right? Because you guys all know my age now.
Oh my.
So one thing that we hear a lot from the younger generation is that life brings a lot of anxiety and anguish, right? And I believe that's because they're too exposed, right? Everything comes so fast, right? Something happens in Brazil, in the exact second here in the U.S., right? So, and it's really a struggle to deal with that with such a young age, right? And even for the parents, because, the parents did not live that, so they don't know how to deal with it. So everybody's learning together. So that brings to my next question. That's for you, Gabe. How can we deal with anxiety and anguish without thinking it means a lack of spirituality? A lot of words there.
So we have to understand that we're going through things that natural is going to happen, right? Like we're here on earth to go through things. We have to get better, right? And by going through things, that's how we evolve, right? Either bad things, good things, we both learn from both. We learn from both. But we can choose to either learn from dor, pain, or amor, love, right? So we have the free will. Thank God we have a free will to choose what we want to do, right? And it's the choice of either doing good or doing bad or being negative all the time, being positive all the time. Because the main objective is for everyone to be what? Perfect, right? We were created, and now we have to elevate and be perfect. Like question 132 of the Spiritist book says, the main objective is to reach perfection. So how exactly do we deal with all these things? And knowing at the same time that we have to go to them. That's a hard thing to think about. Not gonna lie, it's a hard question. But when we walk with Jesus, everything becomes better. When we know when life sticks a knife through our heart and twists it and we think we have no way out of this, when we think of the absolute worst, when we think of maybe even taking our own lives, when we walk with Jesus, everything gets better. When we're drowning in the ocean and we feel like we just can't breathe, and his hand just extends out to us for us to grab, and he's there to save us. Because he was always going to be there from the moment that we were born all the way until the end. He's walking with us. He's always going to be there inspiring us. He loves us, right? We're like his little siblings. So he's going to be there for us no matter what. Now, the free will of us to stay with him or leave, that's up to us. Because he's always going to have his hands extended, open arms. Come, I'll give you a hug. Be with me, But then we can decide, no, you know what? The good life is too hard. I'm taking the easy way out. Now I don't want to do anything because it's easier. I want to lay in bed, eat popcorn all day and watch Netflix. I want to just play video games all day. I want to do this, whatever it is. I want to start doing drugs because that's what really takes my mind off of things. I hear that a lot. I think all the youth hear that a lot. School is too hard. Life is so hard. The only thing that actually makes me relax is drugs. We hear that so often. And it's just probably one of the worst things to hear because it's one of the things that are not actually going to make your things easier. Maybe for a moment you feel relaxed, but no. It alters your physical body too. It messes with you. So that is never an option to resort to drugs or to resort to suicide because that is killing us. Yes, suicide is killing us. Drugs is killing you slowly. Drugs is considered a form of suicide because you're killing your own body by taking these things. And like I said before, people just resort to those things because it's the only thing that at that moment makes them feel relaxed, it makes them feel happy, it makes them feel whatever it is. But how about in the end? In the long-term goal here, what is drugs really going to do for you? Absolutely nothing. So the thing that is actually going to help us, that is going to really help us, is to study the gospel, to follow Jesus, to listen to what he is telling us. Yes.
I love that you said... Oh. I love that you said that because many times you mentioned that Jesus is the way, right? Through the teachings, through the examples, right? And when we have this conversation yesterday, each one of us shared what was finding Jesus moment kind of thing, right? Some were, brought up in Spiritist homes, right? Others was from different religions. But more often than not, we find Jesus through pain, right? We're going through different difficult moments, and then, as Gabe said, that their hand has been there standing to help us. So it was really beautiful to have the conversation because it's not just studying and practicing, right? But it's also feeling as well, right? To find this is really to feel it, right? And once you do, it's like, I can never let this go.
And I think what you said about putting into practice is so true. Because I personally, I go to center, Spiritist center. I do Evangelio at home, the gospel at home. I study my books. Sure, I read them, but personally, I don't really put everything that I can into practice. And it's rare for someone who studies all this, tries their absolute hardest to actually put everything into practice. It's hard. It's really hard to put everything into practice, but we have to try.
It was very funny conversation yesterday because we're trying to decide if we are hypocrites or no. Because here we come, talk about all of that stuff, and are we really putting 100%, but then we come to the conclusion and say, hey, the true hypocrite is that one that says but doesn't do it, right? But here we are, trying, right? So hope that we become like less hypocrites, and at one point, we'll do exactly like Jesus did.
Yeah, back to the question, right? What number was it, the question for that we talk about what's the true Spiritist?
What?
It was there's a chapter in the gospel, I don't know, maybe 15, I'm not sure. But it talks about, a true Spiritist is someone that, 17, thank you, Marcelo.
There you
Chapter
go.
17, what is a Spiritist? A Spiritist, is recognized by the effort that he makes to overcome the evil tendencies.
Not the accomplishments. So
Yes.
there you go.
Yeah, very good. So it's still on the topic. Let's talk a little bit about, social media, right, and how can have a detrimental effect sometimes on our self-esteem because we have like people's lives in our faces all the time, right? So question for you, Leo. How can we avoid comparing ourselves to others and feeling inadequate?
Just before I answer that, I just want to go back to like the hypocrite thing. I feel like the only thing that we're up here to share is like what we think is a way of living that has helped us. Like it's nothing more than that. I don't ascribe any like real accomplishments to myself or anything. I just had a way of living before that didn't work very well, and I have a way of living now that works better. But it says nothing about my character necessarily or any of us. We're just trying to teach, help people to live a better way because it works for us.
I need to comment on that.
Go ahead.
Because a lot of the times, people come up to us, they think that we're young, we're talking about this, they think that we're perfect. It's so not true.
Gabe is definitely not perfect.
The complete opposite of
Said
perfect.
some crazy things to me.
We're here on this earth too. We're going to make mistakes, maybe even more mistakes, who knows? But just because we're up here does not mean that we're, all this, just saying.
Yeah, and we reach
Very
out.
humble here, guys. You see that, right?
And we reach out to each other for advice. Like we have a group chat. We actually met in a trip that we did to Uruguay last year for a Spiritist event, which was great. And we talk about a lot of stuff. Like Gabe's like, guys, I need advice. So we help each other because that's what we're here for, right? Like we know that each one of us have our own difficulties, but having this chain, being here today where I know a lot of you have friends that you haven't seen in a long time, you're reconnecting, you're remembering yourself, what it really means to be in a community like that. People that are coming in for the first time are meeting new people who are gonna have that influence in your life. So we're growing, we're kind of hypocrites, but we're growing from that,
We're good hypocrites.
We're cute, though.
All right. So, Leo, back to the question.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. That was great. How can we avoid comparing ourselves to others and feeling inadequate?
Right. So what we just talked about is important to answering this question because, like I said, I had a way of being and living before, which included a lot of comparison. So I used to care a lot about like social media and like how many likes I got. It sounds stupid saying it and I would even say like, oh, I don't care how many likes I got, but that was a lie. Like I definitely did care how many likes I got. You know what I mean? It just sounded so stupid that I was like, that can't be me. There's just no way. But it was. So comparing myself to others online, comparing myself to others in person, that's the weight of pride, because if you carry around pride, And let's say you think, oh man, I'm the best basketball player around. I didn't think that about myself, but what if I did? And then someone comes and just like starts shooting threes like crazy and just like is way better than me. And then my pride is crushed, right? Now I have to just be angry because like, how can I be proud of being the best basketball player if someone else is a better basketball player than me now? So that's kind of how I walked around. I just walked around in pride all the time, just trying to fill in the evil twins, right? Pride, selfishness. If you don't have any other like thing guiding your life, such as God, then you'll just naturally fall into pride and selfishness. What can I do for myself today to feel fulfilled for me? You know, how can I fulfill my pride? Because I know that if I post and I get this amount of likes, it's going to feel so good. And that's how I'm going to go about my day. And so that's what I used to do. But the flip side of that is that you just never feel happy. You're never actually fulfilled. You're always living a life of anxiety where you're just trying to do better than the person next to you. And it's a terrible way to live. I lived like that for a very long time. And there's still times where I catch myself feeling that way. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. So what is the alternative to that? It's a life with God, right? A life with Jesus, a life of spirituality where you're seeking the spiritual principles, you're seeking the virtues such as humility, such as faith, and love. Love your neighbor. That's the most beautiful thing about charity and love. It's like you take the attention off yourself and onto someone else, and that's liberating, right? It's been so liberating to put my focus on other people now and put my focus on God. And I've discovered through this process that God created each and every one of us uniquely. And your value has nothing to do with the people, how good you are compared to the people around you. Nothing. God loves you for who you are. He has a journey for you that's very specific to you. He's going to put certain people in your life. He's going to give you opportunities. And it's not for you to, God isn't saying, go compete with these people. He's saying, no, I already have this for you. It's so beautiful. And I've gotten to experience that. And that's out there for every single person, but you have to seek him. You know what I mean? You have to get your head out of this world of comparison and of this rat race of I'm better than you, or, you know, I just need more. And you'll find that, the only thing that matters is helping one another, and that God has everything for you, and you'll never go without.
I love that you said the word liberating. I love that you said the word liberation, right? Because that's really what most people are seeking, right? Because we think we are bound to so many things and standards, right? And you just said that Jesus is the way that we have to follow, right? And nothing else compares, I would say that, right? And as you said, it's totally right. I mean, we all were created, we all have the same starting point, right? We have the same destination, but the journeys are going to be different, right? So if my journey is going to be different than yours, what's the point in comparing myself to you, right? If we have Jesus here as the example, that's what I have to aim for, right? And I love that you said that, because it's so liberating to hear, right, that such a young age, you guys already have that mindset. Because some people take years, right? That comes with age, right? But you having that from the get-go, it's going to help you much more, like, moving forward.
Well, the beautiful thing about believing in reincarnation is that, like, it doesn't really matter how old we are in this life, because, you know,
That's true.
I probably fell face first for like 10 lives straight, and then I finally started learning something now.
Yeah,
It's true.
so let's say this is your best reincarnation so far.
It's the best version
Right?
you're going to get.
That's the best version. And we're glad to have you here. Yes. All right. So let's pivot here a little bit. We've been talking about all the good things, Jesus, but we still have the world, right? Which it is a challenge for all of us, right? To live in the world. And if you doubt me, just turn on the news and for 5 seconds you see what I'm talking about. So, and I think Jesus did that really well, but of course, I want to hear your perspective, if I can find the question, which is right here. And that's a question for you, Julia. Is it possible to live a spiritual life without distancing ourselves from the world, because we have to live in it, right? I cannot live in a mountain. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole chapter on the third part of the Spirit's book that talks about law of society, and that's for a reason, right? Like, we need this. We need each other. That's where we grow. That's where we learn. That's where we progress. If we didn't have this, we wouldn't be anything, you know? And I think, especially when it comes to living the world, it is really hard. It is really difficult, especially I think as young, I'll say young adults, but like as youth, we have all of these people around us telling us what to do. Oh, you guys like to tell us what to do. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. You need to have kids at this age. You need to get married at this time. This is what you need to find.
Tell them.
But travel and make sure you are studying because you need to have a career. But then also, you're not enjoying enough. You're not going out. But if you do go out, that's going to be horrible for you. And wear sunscreen. I say that's the one I get the most. Make sure you wear sunscreen, you know. But we get that. And it's important, right? Like a lot of that we reflect on. I'm like, yeah, maybe I should. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe, you know, sometimes I'm like, no, stop talking, everybody. But mainly, we need this sense of society. We need each other to grow. We set from example. There's people I admire, and I follow their example, and, you know, and I learn from them. But essentially, it's who we are. I think going back to what Leo said, the transition and finding Jesus is finding ourselves in that middle too. Because like he said, in our youth, we're so confused to what we want. Maybe we are defined by, like, do I play basketball well or not? Or do I do this well or not? Am I smart enough? How are my grades? But when we start...
And you have so many unsolicited opinions.
Oh, yeah. No, I already... Anyways, but we have that, and we're still trying to find ourselves. It's a very difficult time. We know, like, I think in the Messenger's book, there's like a chapter where it talks about how we receive information from our past lives, and it's around our 14 years of age that we start receiving information in like things that we had in other lives that start coming to our life. So our sense of self is so mixed up at that age because we're gathering all the information of everything that we lived and trying to align with what our parents are teaching us and what everybody's telling us and how school's going. So it is difficult for us to understand ourselves. But within Spiritism and learning about Jesus, what he asks us the most to do is learn about ourselves, to take our time with ourselves. Question 919 from the Spirit's book. We have St. Augustine that comes to tell us that we need to self-reflect every night. Sit in our bed, just gather our thoughts, try to understand what we did well, what we didn't do so well. Tap ourselves on the back when needed, when we did do something good, when we overcame a challenge. So that's the sense of self that we encounter in Spiritism that makes us so powerful to live in the world. I work in banking. I did college, but I've been in banking for 3 years, and I work in corporate. So not great. Everybody wants each other's heads. We're all stepping on each other, you know, like trying to climb that corporate ladder that everybody so much talks about. And sometimes I catch myself sitting back and I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm so dedicated to Spiritism. I'm trying so hard. And it's like I'm in this environment that's like bringing sometimes the worst in people. That's the competitiveness, the wantness to like be better than each other. And I sit back and reflect, and then I have this like revelation in my head of like, that's exactly where I need to be, because I have all of this knowledge about Spiritism, of everything it is and how life works and what do I need to do to people. When I walk into my job, I need to be the smile at my work. I need to be the loving hug that they don't have. I need to be the person that's going to listen to what somebody that's having like a terrible day is going to have to say. We're there for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And sometimes we don't take the chance to listen to somebody that's next to us. So maybe the worlds that we so talked about, this so ruined and warlike worlds that's so difficult, we are the start of the better world. When we talk about the transformation of the planet, that we're moving, right? The regeneration of the planet. it starts with us. We need to be regenerated first. That's how the planet's going to be regenerated. So no, not only the society and the world's super important, and we can be spiritists, not in it, but we're needed to be in this society. The knowledge that we have, the ability that we have to love, care for each other, the efforts that we're putting in, we are needed. Each one of us that have the gift of knowing of this doctrine that makes so much sense, we are needed in society. So let's not take a step back. Let's take a step forward. Let's wake up every day and try harder and harder to be better versions of ourselves and to be there for other people, to love and care. So.
Preach. Yes. Yeah, there's so much to unpack there, Julia, but what really stood out for me is that we are in the right place, right? And the choice that we have to do to make the right thing, right? Sometimes we would like to do things that have like a bigger impact, right? Sometimes to satisfy our ego, right? Just to show the people that are doing the big stuff. But we all have smaller roles in places that we are, and we can all be agents of change, right? If we really want to be an instrument in God's creation, right, we have to take every single opportunity. That's what I've gathered, right, from what you said. Every single opportunity that we have, if I work in a bank, if I own a taco shop, or my basketball team, right, if it's an opportunity to do the good, that's where I have to go, and that's what I have to do.
Yeah, and we were talking yesterday, remember, like Africa. So many of us want to go and do work in Africa and all of these countries that we know there's so much need, but we're forgetting what's around us. So it's important that we start to look next to us. Who are our neighbors and what do they need? And then if you have time after your shift to go to Africa, please do, because they need you too.
So I guess we all learned that even though the world is not a great place right now, and in Brazil we have an experience like an expression that says "para um ônibus que eu quero descer." Sometimes that, when you watch the news, that's how like, okay, let me just, stop the bus, next stop, I don't want to do this anymore. But it's clear here that we have to go through this, right? We were put here by different to do different things, right? To overcome different challenges. So we have to live in society, right? And it's easier to do that with the people that we love, right? People that we care about. But how about the enemies? Do we put them in that same category? It's difficult, it's not. So I would love to hear you guys' perspective on that. So if we have to live in society and we have Jesus as our model, and he loved everyone, by the way, what does it mean to love your enemies, Gabriel?
I think that's probably one of the hardest things to talk about in Spiritism, because loving an enemy is not easy. Forgiving an enemy is not easy. So on the chapter of the Gospel according to Spiritism, love your enemies. Oh, what a perfect example. So when Jesus said one of the most misinterpreted things, if someone slaps you on one cheek, offer him the other. Do not take it literally, please. Or like if your right hand does you wrong, cut it off. Don't take it literally. So what does it mean? If someone were to smack me on my right cheek, I would offer him my left. Why? Why would he say that? So in very short answer, it just means don't fight fire with fire. It means don't resolve back with, break the cycle, what Victor just said. So don't fight back with violence. It just doesn't make sense. That's not how things get better. So, and we have to think about that. If our enemy does us wrong, we always have people doing us wrong. It's hard to forgive, depending on what it is. It really is. Maybe someone at work did something extremely bad, or your friend did this, or your ex cheated on you, whatever it was. It's hard to forgive. It's hard to move on. You stay stuck in that thing 24/7 with that bad vibration. You're thinking of it constantly, and you just can't let go. But how do we let go? It's hard. It takes time. Things take time, right? Like we have to remember that everything takes time, from the creation of the universe to what we are now, from Earth being 4.3 billion years old. So like before our solar system was created, a big giant ball of like gas, dust, and space particles just there with nothing. And then everything started combining over billions of years, compressing densely into forming a star. Everything, just immense pressure into, after the star was born, okay, bam, now space rocks. Now we have space rocks here. Everything, again, compressing, everything getting solidified, right? Creating planets. Perfect distance from our star, planet Earth, bam, habitable zone right here. So look at the knowledge of God. Everything has to be precise in order for us to be here. So back to the question, how do we forgive our enemies, right? So like I just said, everything takes time. It's going to take time, but we have to remember that we need to forgive. We can't just be stuck on that one thing forever, because maybe in another incarnation,
You cut my leg off. Call back.
let's say he hates me now. Great, he hates me.
don't.
So next incarnation, I'm going to be his dad or his brother.
I hate you, Dad.
I don't think he will like that. He wouldn't like that. So now we're forced to be together. We're forced to be in the same family. And sometimes we see that families don't really love each other. And there's proof right there that something happened in the past. So in order to break that cycle of never ending, okay, I hate you, you hate me, I don't like you, whatever it is, enemies, things that enemies do, right? To break that cycle, we have to be the mature ones. We have to step up and say, you know what? How is this going to, this can't bother me anymore. It's been going on for what, 5 lifetimes, and he's still on me? Like, it doesn't make sense, right? It just doesn't make sense. He's still on me. So break the cycle. How is it going to benefit you? I hate you, Julia. That doesn't benefit me at all. That doesn't benefit her. It only does us harm. No, I don't hate you. I'm sorry. But it
Sounded personal.
What is the benefit that that's going to do? Break the cycle. Forgive. Forget about what the person did. Now, Jesus never said to love your enemies like they're your siblings. He's not telling us, because in the state that we are right now in this earth, it's impossible to look at someone and say, who really did us harm. It's impossible to say, I love you. That's 3 words that are probably unheard of when you're speaking about enemies. I love you. I forgive you. It's hard. So what does it mean, love your enemies? To respect them, to try to forgive as much as you can, to know that everyone is on earth together to go to evolve. We're all siblings. We're here for the same exact reason. We're here to evolve. So when you look at the person and you just say, I hate you, that's not loving, right? That's not respecting the person. We're not going to be able to love the person maybe in this incarnation, like, oh, fantastic, we're together forever. Probably not going to happen, right? But the step is to try to forgive, to try to respect the person, to know that they're always, to know that they're also fallible, meaning they make mistakes, like we make mistakes every single day. Even if it's a small little thing, I'm in traffic, I just come out of the center, fantastic, Spiritist center, I'm in traffic.
Hungry.
I'm hungry. I'm getting the posses, hungry over here, thinking about the food, like Leo said. And then I go into traffic, this dude cuts me off, and I start calling him names. Oh, wow, look at that one. Hypocrite.
That's a true hypocrite. That's a true hypocrite.
Such a hypocrite thing to do. But anyways, that's what it is. Taking the small little steps, because we're all making mistakes and we're all going towards the one thing, which is perfection.
So essentially, to love your enemies is to try to forgive them, but you don't have to invite them for coffee, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pão de queijo.
Or pão de queijo, yeah. But yes,
For-
pão de queijo, no.
And I like that concept because it's something we a lot of times we misunderstand it, right? Like I think there's a palestra that I watch from Haddad, which I love, and I think it's based on the C.S. Lewis book, The 4 Loves. I don't remember all 4, but I do get to remember 3 of them, which are eros, and then philia, and then agape, which is like they're different types of loves. So when Jesus talks about love, he doesn't expect us to love our enemies with the same love type that we love our parents, our like partner or our family, the expectation is that we aim to the agape love that he talks so much about, the universalism. Maybe me and you, we can't be around each other because we're just gonna create mess. It's gonna be messy. But my love for you, it's not according to your attitudes, it's for the human you are. And that changes so much of our perspective on this, like, I have to love my enemies and I have to stay in places that hurt me or stay in like abusive relationships or in terrible environments because Jesus tells me to love your enemies. No. He brings this love as the agape love, which is the universal love, which is the love that we have for one another and that wish the best and we grow together, but not necessarily the love that's like affectionate love that needs to stay close and that requires presence. It's a
I
different.
love that because it takes a lot of pressure, right? To when say love my enemies, I don't have to go to this agape love, which is the final stage. I can do like step by step till I get there.
Yeah.
Right? So one takeaway from me is really break the cycle, right? Like as Gabe said, if we keep feeding each other with hate and bad thoughts, that's not going to help. And there's an expression in English that they call kill with kindness, right? So if you're looking on how to break the cycle, right? Just try to be kind at start, right? And slowly that barrier is going to start coming down.
I have a story of Chico Xavier, right? I just remember this from a lecture that was given in the Saint a really long time ago. So with the dog, right, Chico's dog, very loving dog, everyone loved the dog. And then I'm going to make the story a very short story, but so there's a person that thought that the dog was doing Chico harm, right? Oh, the dog is just weighing Chico down. So the person decided to kill the dog. And Chico, devastated, very devastated because of the fact that someone killed the dog. How could someone kill the dog, the poor dog? And then Emmanuel goes to Chico. He says, Chico, you have like a dark aura around you. You have something's not right. Chico's like, someone killed my dog. How could I forgive someone who just killed my dog? I wouldn't be able to personally. I don't know how Chico did it, but Emmanuel said, there's a I don't know fala. I didn't even know the word. There's a solution. There's a solution. There's a solution to this. So he goes, what do I do? Emmanuel said, gift something to her. Give something to the person. I think it was a sewing machine that she could bought. And I was like, really? Really? Why do I have to do good to this person when she just killed my dog? It doesn't make sense. So the only remedy for evil is good. That was the moral of the story.
Beautiful, beautiful. So that's going to be our last question for the panel. Okay, we're going to start doing the wrap up. And of course, it's going to be for one person, but you guys feel free to chime in. And that's for you, Leo. The last question. How can we act with love in an aggressive world?
So I told you this yesterday, and you thought it was pretty cool. I heard this from someone else, and what I heard is that love is not a feeling, it's a choice. And when I heard that, I thought it was pretty awesome, because I guess we can feel love in a sense, but I think that our actual feelings of love are few and far between, and most of the time we have to choose to act with love, right? Because it can be really hard. So this is an aggressive world. We're in a world of trials and expiations. We're not very far up the evolutionary ladder, and as we know, we're supposed to be becoming a world of regeneration, so that's good. But that's going to also come from the individual choices that we decide to make. That's going to move our world forward, because the world is only made up of its inhabitants, right? So love is a choice, right? And we are Christians, we are Spiritists. We believe in the law of love, the law of charity. So we have Jesus as our example, the greatest guide and model for behavior that we could possibly ask for. So when in doubt, look to him and pray to God, and remember that to choose love, right? People are going to not choose love sometimes, but that's why we need to love our enemies. That's why we need to forgive, because Jesus already knew that people are going to stab us in the back. People are going to betray us. People are going to be unkind to us, even when we're kind to them. But he didn't say, be kind to those who are kind to you. In fact, that's actually the lead up to love your enemies, to where he says love your enemies. I think he says, if you love those who love you, are you no different than the ones who don't follow me? It's like, no, you're the same. So love your enemies. It's hard, but be kind even when the world is not kind to you, and you will reap the benefits of that, for sure.
Yeah, and one thing that you said that I love is, you said love is a choice. And choices are things that we decide to do every day, right? Because we're still at that stage that we have to train ourselves to do the good things, right? And what Spiritism taught me is that even if you didn't love today, you still have a chance to love tomorrow, right? So we go through the exercise until it's a habit, right? You don't have to think anymore. We automatically make that choice. But Spiritism makes it clear that if you can't do it today, you can do it tomorrow and the day after that. And you have as many chances as you need until you get to that stage where it's not a choice anymore, it's a habit.
And as we're approaching, unfortunately, the end of the panel, I have like a final message to say for the youth that are here watching. Some are asleep, some are, anyways. So, the final message is no pressure, but it's all up to us now. The world is changing. We're here. We're the young people. We're the ones growing up. It's up to us on what we want to do to make the world a better place. And I don't know if you guys were paying attention during the whole thing, but we talked a lot about hardships that we have to go through things. School sucks. I get it. I was there too. And
College too.
College too. Sometimes I'm not here, but we have to go through it. It's part of it. Suffering. It's part of our reincarnation. But we can't forget that everything is going to get better eventually. No matter what, everything gets better. It takes time, and to just have resilience and faith in God is what's going to help our lives become way better.
Yeah, and I think for me is one thing that I've been trying so hard is I actually grew up Catholic, so I became Spiritist when I was like 19 years old, so 3 years back. So I'm still new to it, but very, very, very interested. And one thing that I've been trying to apply to my life is you can't fight love. There's no way. Like if somebody is, and I know that because women, we have our cycles a little bit explosive towards close to, and I've been married for 3 years to a wonderful husband, and he's so quiet. He is very, very chill. And sometimes I get home and I'm like, oh yes, today we're going to fight, and I bring it, and I'm like, well, you this, you that, and he looks to me, he's like, no, we're not going to do this. I love you. And I'm like, what do you mean? I want to fight with you. And he's like, no, we're not doing this. Let's slow down. Let's love each other first. How was your day? Let's talk about it. And then maybe if you want to fight, I'll give you a little bit of entertainment. But you can't fight. Fire only feeds with fire. Love, it stops it right there. And I think we're talking about the age of Christ, and 2,000 years back, we learned that. In all of our decisions from this point on, our political country decisions, they haven't been founded in love. And when they start doing it, when we start making our decisions with love, that's when we're going to see change. But initially, it starts in all of us. Somebody cut you off. Don't give them fire. Pray for them.
Hold the fire.
Be like, no. Stop the chain.
All right, so this concludes our panel. I want to thank you all the panelists for sharing the insights, and I really want a special shout out to the Spiritist Federation of Florida for giving us the space. And support this activity, having the youth have a voice in the Spiritist movement. And on a personal note, it was a pleasure to work with all of you. You make me feel young.
Vitor, we'd like to thank you so much. You did wonderful, and we wouldn't be able to do it without you.
Oh, thank you. And just to repeat what I said in the beginning, I'm really happy and proud that all of you already have this mindset, right, of Jesus in the center and being the way, because I'm sure you're going to have very good lives with that mindset, right? And I think some of you might share with me that if I knew what they do today when I was their age, my life would probably a bit better, right? It's not, right? So that's an invite for the families, right? To continue involving your children, your youth in any activity, right? But if you're in the Spirits movement, right, we have several resources and avenues, right, to keep this conversation going, because it's really important to help to build a foundation now, right, so they can have more happy lives in the future, right? So, and that's it. Thank you, everyone.